What's up, YouTube? This is Fate, bringing you another deck profile at the locals. And today I've got my friend Mike here, and he's going to be showing off his DDD deck profile, which is very nasty. But first, thanks to him, I'm going to have kind of disclaimer with a future deck profile in one of my videos. It was actually thanks to him that I got this Omega today, so if you see this in one of my future deck profiles, I'm still the budget player, you guys know, but it was thanks to him that I got this Omega, so show him this support and love with this deck profile as well. And without further ado, take us away with this masterpiece.
Okay, so, alright, yeah, DDDs are very volatile. They can spam out a lot of big monsters, do a lot of damage, gain a lot of life points, get around just about anything. So, yeah, they're good. First off, we got the 3 Keplers. This is your search card. You can do a whole lot with him. You can, but if you search him, then with him you can search a Dark Contract card and just continue to go off from there. I'll get more into what the Dark Contract cards do here in a second, but yeah, he's pretty much, you summon him, special, normal, and he just adds the Dark Contract card. He's also a scale 10 if you do want to go into the pendulum summon. I don't really pendulum summon in this deck, but you definitely can, so you definitely need 3 of this one. Then I'm running 3 Leonidas. Again, really good. He's a DDD monster, so he can go for both of the fusions. He's also a pendulum, so you can make him in a pendulum scale. He's also got a pretty good attack on him, and you can special summon him anytime you take damage, which for any of these Dark Contract cards here, you take damage each of your standby phases, so you can, if you were to take damage, you can special summon him and you gain the life points back, and then while he's on the field, you take no more further damage for like being inflicted to. So he's really good. Also, with Swirl Slime, you can banish him out of the grave to special summon him. I can get to that in a second. So that one's really good, 3 of. Next up, we got 3 Ragnaroks, another pendulum. This guy's a beast. He's the level 8. Oh yeah, by the way, this guy's a level 7, so he goes for rank 7s. But so for the level 8, this guy's really good. You can special him out with the Swirl Slime, like I said. I'll get to him in a second. And when he's special summoned, you can special summon a DD monster from your graveyard, which is really good. His other effect is that you can tribute a DD monster that you control to banish an opponent's monster. So he's a beast, and he's got 3,000 behind, so he definitely is a hard thing to get over, and he's very effective, very good. Next we got 3 DD Swirl Slimes. This guy, another one, amazing. He fuses out of your hand, so you use this one and any other DD card out of your hand to send to the grave, and then you can fusion summon the Oracle Arc. Also, on the same turn, if you choose, you can banish him from your grave to special summon a DD monster from the hand. So he's really good to keep the fusions coming out and special summoning big guys from your hand to go into ranks or just field presence. Really good. Next I'm running 3 Necro Slimes, which eventually I'm going to have them down to 2 because you really only need 2 of these guys. I have them at 3 right now just because, you know, again,
spams.
Yeah, I mean, he's really only for 2, but this guy banishes out of the grave. He targets a DD himself and a DD in your grave to banish for a fusion. So effectively, if you were to go send Swirl Slime effect, these 2 to grave to special summon Oracle Arc, then banish with Necro Slime from the grave for a second Oracle, that's 2 Oracles with 2 cards. And then from here you can go into a rank 7 because it's a 7, or you can leave it on board as just field presence. So Necro Slime, really good. And then we finish it up with the Maxis, because if you're not running Maxi, you're not a good player. I'm sorry. It's just it's one of those cards that just allows you to go off in the game. And then last but not least for the monsters is a Dark Arm Dragon. You absolutely have control over your graveyard, so you have to run this card. It's a necessity. He's a level 7, so he goes into rank 7 plays. He's also, since you control your graveyard, you can pretty much anytime you draw him, you'll be able to bring him out and go off. So really good. That's my monster lineup. Spells. Now for the spells, we have 3 Contract with the Gate. This card is your
tanky on crack.
It's tanky on crack. All right, so you're gonna take 1,000 damage each of your standby phases, but if you got an Oracle on board, you gain 1,000 each of your standby phases for each contract card you have. This contract card can be, the contract cards can all be searched with the Kepler, with Kepler here. And so like if you normal him and search this guy and activate this, you can search a DD monster from your deck to hand. So this allows you to search any DD monster to your hand. And it's a continuous, so it stays on the field once per turn. You get to add a DD to hand, and if you got Oracle, you get to gain the life points each time. So really good must-have at 3. Then I play 1 Swamp King because it gets to be a little bit cloggy after that. This card's it's searchable with Kepler, and what this does is basically you can fuse from anywhere. You can fuse from your hand, the field, and send to the grave, or you can fuse from the grave and banish from the grave. So it's kind of like a poly and a miracle fusion to put into one card. It also has to take 1,000 damage during each of your standby phases, but like I said, if you got Oracle on board, you're only gaining that life point, so it's really not that effective. You also run if you don't have Oracle on board, you also run the Leonidas, so if this effect were to activate and you take 1,000, you special summon him and you don't take any damage, and it's a free monster. So their effects really aren't too good, aren't too bad when you think about it. Also, you can split this up, so you can send a card from your hand to grave and banish one out of your grave to fusion summon a DD monster. So this just allows you access from anywhere to go into a fusion summon, so it's good, but you don't want to get too cloggy, so I run 1. Next up, I run 2 Mass Change 2. Mass Change 2 in this deck is actually really good because you run cards out of the grave effects, like these guys, so you can send these with this, target your Kepler, activate Kepler, and then Mass Change 2 them off for a Dark Claw or something, and then send these and then fusion these off from the graveyard for the DD. So Mass Change 2 for right now until we get more support. Definitely a good card to run in this deck. It allows you to just do more play. It allows you more playability. Next, we run 2 MSTs. I mean, pretty standard. You know,
that's a pendulum format.
Pendulum format. So I mean, you're gonna want to run MSTs, hit the back row or hit the scales. It's just pretty much the way it's always been. And then I run 1 Raigeki, self-explanatory. 1 Book of Moon, you know, self-explanatory. The only thing that hurts this deck really is like Ignister, Castel, 101, stuff that targets and shuffles back, because I can't really get around that. So this just kind of puts stops to those big plays they want to go into. And 1 for 1. This card is so good in this deck because if you send any monster with this, you get a free Kepler. You summon Kepler from your deck in defense position, get the effect to add a Dark Contract card, and then you can either get the fusion one or the searcher or the one that pops cards, which I'll get to in a little bit.
Pretty much turns the normal neg1 into a +1.
You +2 off of this card after you're done with it. So this card is a necessity, very good. I use it all the time. As soon if I get it, I wish I could run more. Next, we run Foolish Burial. Another really good card. If you open up bad where you have, say you open up and you have Leonidas and a Ragnarok in hand, and you have no way of normal summoning or getting these out of hand, you activate a Foolish Burial and send Swirl Slime, and then you can banish this to special one of these out of your hand. So, also if you have one engraved like him, and you have nothing else engraved, you can activate Foolish Burial, send a Necro Slime to banish these out of the grave for a fusion. So this just essentially allows you for more playability, more plays to go off earlier. So it's just, and it thins the deck out a lot too. So
kind of like Dragon Roller but in themed form.
Yeah, a lot like that. And then we run Burial from a different dimension because a lot of our effects are banishing out, and this kind of just recycles all that back in. If we put a Dark Arm Dragon on board, more materials to pop cards. If I want to go into another fusion card and all my stuff's banished, you know, I set this card, they target it with Dragon Pit, or they target it with MST or Twin Twister, and then it's a waste of their target, and I chain the effect to send the stuff back, spit it back into my graveyard. So you plus off this multiple ways. It's a very good card to run in this deck. So that's all I run for spells. For trap cards now, I run 2 Contract with the Dark Witch. This card can be played at 3. I play it at 2, again, just for effectiveness and, you know, not to be too cloggy. This card, basically, all DD monsters you control gain 1,000 attack during each of your opponent's turns, the entire opponent's turn. Also, you take 1,000 damage during each of your standby phases, like the other contract cards. Like I was saying before, not that bad of an effect. The main effect of this is that once per turn, and it's a continuous trap, so once per turn during either player's turn, you can send a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to grave to destroy a card on the field, anywhere. So this card is just plucks away. Once per turn, you can keep sending away the Necro Slimes to pop a card, you can send away Swirl Slime to pop a card, you know, anything really. If you got an extra... If you got a contract on field and a one in hand, you can send the contract from hand to grave to pop a card. So this just allows for a lot of like control over the field. Very good. I'd run you run 2, and if you want 3. The next I run 2 Fiendish Chains. Format with pendulums, they let the Pepe, the Perform Pals, they like going into Castels, Trapeze Magicians, Ignister. I mean, there's so many things that are so good that just pump against me that Fiendish Chain I feel like is a necessity because it stops him from attacking over my monster, and it stops him from being able to target my monsters and remove them from the field. I want to keep my big monsters on the field, so this just stops the opponent. In my mind, very good, very effective for this deck, especially when you activate this. You don't need to worry about your opponent sitting on a monster. If you go into a Ragnarok and tribute your DD, you still banish their monster, and they can't do anything about it until you're ready to do that. It's a good card. If I were to take these out, I probably would put like Trap Pix Nightmare Trap Hole in here, again because everybody wants to run special summon monsters with abusive effects, and this kind of just, you want to stop that from happening. So for the 1-ups for the traps, I run 1 Compulse, pretty standard, just to take out Ignister, Castel, 101, Trish, anything that like comes out that's gonna hurt me, boom, gone. Torrential Tribute.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's a pendulum format. Torrential should be in every deck. Same with Vanities. You run Vanities in every deck, pretty standard. Same with Warning. All this stuff here is pre-Bosch. I don't have any Breakers of Shadow cards in my deck right now, so that's why it looks the way it does. And, you know, of course, if we go, once we get the Breakers of Shadow stuff, I'm going to start running a couple other things. But for right now, Solemn Warning and then Bottomless, all stuff that pretty much you would run in any main deck.
Hey, going back to one of my other videos, though, he runs the same Triad. Trust me, it works.
It works. It works. So for the extra deck, 3 arcs. If I could run 6, 9, anything more than 3, I would. You go into this too often. This is your heart and soul of your deck. This is what you spit out. This is your rank 7 plays. It helps you with the rank 7s. This is a 7, and Leonidas is the 7, so you're able to go into your rank 7s really, really easy in this deck. You gain all your life points off of this card. Anytime you would take damage, its effect is anytime you would be inflicted damage, you gain the damage instead. So this card is just too good in this deck. Wish I could run more. Then we'll run 2 of the Ragnaroks. You can run 1. I run 2 because I can. He's really good too. 3,200 attack, and when an attack is declared, when he attacks or an attack is declared against him, you can return 1 Dark Contract card from your field. So if you have a Dark Contract card on your field set and you attack and your opponent has more than 1 monster, you can return your Dark Contract to the hand and then target the monster, a monster other than the monster this card is attacking, equip it to this card, and it gains attack equal to its original attack. So like for instance, at one point against Perform Pal, I had this guy up to 8,200 attack, and my opponent was really limited on what they were going to be able to do. This card's really good if you get it out. It takes 2 DDD monsters though, so you need to run you need to use Ragnarok's Leonidas or the Arc to make him.
So it's a good card, but you don't run into him that often.
Right, because you can't use Necro Slime or Swirl Slime to bring this guy out. You only can use those to bring out the Arc. You have to use the fusion, the spell card, the Swamp King. This guy, you have to use that card to bring this out by sending the DDD monsters to bring him out. So he's harder to bring out, but he's really good if you can bring him out. And if he goes to grave, he's also another name. So then, because we're running Mass Change 2, you got a Darklaw and an Anki. Danklaw, you know, very easy to know why he's in here. Banishment, you know, real good. Anki, Anki's in,
plus.
yeah, Anki's in here because if you're attacking with a Leonidas into an open field and you deal 2,600 damage, you activate Mass Change 2, you can bring out Anki and go for another 28. So since you run and same with the Arc, you run the level 7s, and you can pump them up with Mass Change 2 and an Anki. That's the only reason you're going to run Anki. So then you got those guys. Those are the fusions. For the ranks, run 2 Red Eyes Flare. I love this card. I always go into this card. It's like one of my favorite cards of this deck. He cannot be destroyed by card effects, and anytime your opponent activates an effect, they take 500 damage. So being the pendulum format that it is, effects are activated left, right. This just burns your opponent a whole bunch and kind of makes them play a little bit more conservatively, hopefully. I run 2 in case they get around 1. I got another to go into. I love this card to death. It's just an amazing card. Big Eye and Draco Sack, because of how easy you go into rank 7s.
They're the staples.
Yep, it's staple. Anytime you've been able to go a rank 7, these 2 are in the deck, so that's pretty self-explanatory. For those who are new, makes counters, pops counters to pop cards, takes monsters. So both are very, very, very good cards. DDD, Dawn Kali, King Kali Yuga.
I hate this thing.
This thing is good. It's hard to get out. You have to have 2 Ragnaroks, but if you special summon a Ragnarok with a Ragnarok Engrave, then you can bring him out with the if you have this engraved and then you special summon this and special summon this with this effect, then you can overlay him into the Kali Yuga. 3,500 attack, 3,000 defense. It's pretty big stats. His main effect though is that he can detach to Heavy Storm. Takes off all spell and trap cards on the field, which is really good. All secondary effect is that on the same turn, if you want, you can detach and take a Dark Contract card from your graveyard and set it in your spell and trap zone. So once you nuke yours too, you can reset your contract with the Gate to search, or King with the contract with the Swamp King to fuse. So he just kind of Heavy Storms and then helps you get your stuff back. He's really good. You only run 1 of them because it's hard to get into. So just because you can make a rank 8 if you don't feel like going into him. I run a Galaxy Tachyon Dragon too. Really, I've never gone into this card, but until his better comes out, he's in there as a filler. So rank 8, you can go sub him out for Felgrand or something other than him for rank 8. But
even Heliopolis with the swirl and Necro Slimes.
Yeah, even with the Heliopolis, you're going to be able to do some stuff. If you go into 8 still, you're probably going to go into the King Kali Yuga here. So.
Is that what's going on, Ben?
And
not even close.
That's what I got. I mean, I have a side deck as well, but side decks are really all situational to you as a player and format. So I'll leave it up to you to make your own side deck. But I will, however, share with you a couple specific texts to this deck that I put in a side deck. Curse of Darkness. Your opponent, when they go to set their scales, they take 1,000 for each spell card activated. Each scale is a spell card. They want to activate spell cards, they take 1,000. If you've got Oracle on board and you activate a spell card, you gain 1,000 life points for every spell card you activate. If you set a scale and you got these on board, you gain 1,000 life points. So this card in this deck is very abusive, very good, very powerful. I keep it as a side deck against anything Perform Pal because they're burning for a lot of life points, and by the end of it, usually they kill themselves or stop themselves from playing. And the only other one to this deck that's relevant out of the side deck, specific to this deck, for me would be the Blazing Mirror Forces. Blazing Mirror Force is a really good card too for this deck because if you have the Arc on the field and you're playing like Cosmos or something that has a lot of attack, they take all their damage from equal to all their half of all their attacks, and you gain that life point since it's inflicted. So this is just amazing. They bring out Cosmos and you blazing them. They could take up to 3,000, and you could gain up to 3,000 life points, no problem. So these 5 cards for the side deck for this deck are, I would think, are really good side deck cards for this. But again, all of it's situational to you. You know, this is the format where we got the mind crushes, the time spaces, the anti spells, the restricts. So
The future Monarch hate right there.
yeah. So this right here caters to this deck. It works really well. This deck is amazing. It's fun. I would recommend it to anybody to pick up and play. Thank you for very much for hearing me out.
And thank you very much, Mike, for providing us with this really awesome deck profile. This is a very big one that I wanted to get for my channel for a while now, and we just finally got to get together on it. Well, anyways, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Until next time.